Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our Day 16 edition of Big Brother 28 live feed spoilers. Is there actually a path for Rome, despite all of his antics and ridiculousnly, to actually stay in the game this week?
Anything is possible, as Hamster Watch said. It is Waffle Wednesday.
Woo!
We are here where things can change.
They always can. And like, this is a time when people also are getting really paranoid. Like, this happens leading up to evictions where you run all these scenarios in your brain. And especially if you are in the process of creating works of fiction that are not actually true, which certain people looking at Angela and Dee are occasionally doing, like, that can lead to all sorts of spirals. Rome has tried some stuff. People have talked themselves into ideas that aren't even true. And like, this does set up that tomorrow could be a very, very fun eviction show. I mean, at the very least, we are certainly hoping for this.
Absolutely. But before we jump further into this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are here every single day talking about Big Brother 28 live feed spoilers, and we don't want you to miss any of it. Thank you so much to everyone who has hit that subscribe button and is helping support us here.
Yeah, we very, very much appreciate that. We love being here chatting with you guys about Big Brother. Let's just get almost straight into the campaigning here, because it's like, I don't want to sit here and necessarily be like, oh, Jason's not doing anything, Melody's not doing anything, because like they are having conversations, they're talking to people, but you know, as we have sort of said, the baseline idea, at least in theory, is that Rome should be the target, Jason should be the backup target, Melody should be safe no matter what. So obviously the focus is on Rome, who has to do the most to actually change his fate in the game, right?
Yo, he is doing the most. Like, not everything is working and landing, but there are definitely some conversations that have sprouted out from this of people that are like, maybe we keep Rome?
Yeah, like that, it has happened. Like, there has been some entertainment around this idea. And I mean, I will give Rome the tiniest amount of credit. Like, this is the thing. I don't know if Rome actually intentionally has done a good job at anything in Big Brother this season. Like,
he's fighting to stay, though. I have to appreciate that.
Yeah, I have come to appreciate Rome to the extent that, should I say it? Should I?
Do it.
I want Rome to stay on Thursday.
Yo, I should have put my hard hat on. Oh my goodness. No, I do too.
I don't want, listen.
He's just gonna continue to cause messy feeds because, man, they've been messy with his whole like, let me meet up with all the boys, but not you two.
Yeah, this is the thing with Rome. It's just like he's always going to try something, like, and he's also not self-aware. So there's just like this unintentional, embarrassing level of comedy that comes from him versus somebody like Jason, who's been on TV, who kind of knows how to make sound bites. It all just feels a little bit more planned and calculated in that way, where it's just like, if Rome, I don't want to say this either, but if Rome wins the next head of household, the case of HOH-itis this man would have would almost be unprecedented. He would never take off the robe. He would order people around. Like,
yes, it'll be delicious. The only thing that will suck is that he will have Lyric up in that room the entire time. However, his HOH-itis will be absolutely so much fun for the week.
Yes.
It'll be nice to see, you know, this big alliance where we, you know, I've got people in there, you got people in there that we do like. It's still just not that entertaining to watch a big alliance just roll over everyone. It's been 2 weeks of that. It's time to see somebody else.
Yes, that's what Big Brother is. We should all root for chaos. Even if we're rooting for particular people, let them face danger and end up still being okay. Like, that's all right. But okay, since you mentioned the Bro Council, I think we have to get into
the Bro Council. Let's go. So ridiculous.
This is just absolutely terrible. And
nonsense.
Yet I also loved every single second of it. So like, this all began with Lyric had tried to do some recon work for Rome yesterday, where she went and talked to some of the women and kind of got a read that it's like, all right, Rome, you're not going to be staying, like, you're in really big danger. So Rome then has this bright idea of, all right, you know what I'm going to do then? I'm going to do a pseudo house meeting. I'm going to get all the men with two very important exceptions. I'm just going to get them all in a room and we're going to talk all this out and I'm going to lay out my case to them.
Yeah, Devins and Jason not invited to this meeting. And in some ways, I understand this. Jason is on the block. Devins has put him on the block. Neither one of these people, and Devins doesn't have a vote. So unless it's a tie, and it's just not going to be There's no reason for them to be in the room.
Well, this is where things somehow get even worse. So Dee ends up finding out about some of this in advance, that he's planning the bro council to happen. And she's just like, okay, I don't want this to happen. Who knows what this guy would say?
That's right.
Like, I feel like he's probably going regardless. But if you're a good player, you always do want to try to make sure your point of view gets across the most. So she was already planning to do something surrounding the bro council. The bro council happens. And because, like you said, Jason and Devins, they're not a part of this. Like,
No.
she then takes the initiative to just like interrupt the bro council meeting and be like, well, you're gonna leave these guys out? Like, how can you do that? How can, just giving like this bizarro guilt trip, since it was Rome who was so like losing his mind that he was locked out of the HOH room over the weekend.
I totally appreciate Dee doing this. It makes for messy time.
Yeah.
And it does interrupt what is going on. She knows that he's up there giving a pitch, trying to do the best that he can to sway people. And what if he does?
You never ever know. And this is
No, you don't.
like, this is a really great what if. That what if Rome had actually been able to do a good job during this meeting? Like, now we will never know. Like, let me make it clear. I do not expect that Rome would have done a good job with this meeting.
You
but
never know.
You never quite know. But I think Dee did throw him off, because this meeting was a total waste of time. Like, he went in there, spouted some, I'm a shield, blah, 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 win comp, but didn't actually give
Sure.
like any real information as to what he was going to do, who he was really going to go. Like, nobody left this actually feeling like they learned anything, that their minds are going to be just like fundamentally changed with him in the game.
Mhm.
Then, to make matters worse, Rome then decided, okay, you know what? Since this didn't go well, it was very, very short for a meeting that he planned. I'm going to go and gather up the women, and then I'm going to have a meeting with the women as well.
It's wild in general that he needs so many votes to be able to stay, and you are only going to talk to half the house when the women in the house also have a vote.
It was just so unbelievably bizarre.
It's also really weird because he went into this game basically being like, I feel like I can sway the women. I'm shocked that he actually didn't start with the women.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Rome's actually okay, too, with some individual conversations. Like, the reason he was a target in the first place is that, okay, once again, don't want to say it, he can be very charming. Like, he has charmed a lot of these people. I mean, like, Lala was a great example. Like, she
Yeah.
got so hurt when he didn't want to save her in those conversations with Devins. And
Yeah.
even despite all that, like, she's still one of the most pro-Rome people, because Rome has like this unexplainable charisma where he's able to bring people back in. Why not talk to them more one-on-one?
Absolutely. There are still people riding for Rome, and Lala is one of those people.
Yeah, and so this is sort of the bizarre thing that goes on with him. Now, there's a couple of deals in the aftermath of this meeting related to Devins that are very important for the long term
Yes.
here. Like, I mean, number one, he implored all the guys after the bro council, just stick with the plan, guys. I really stuck my neck out. Do we want to cause any more nonsense from this? And it seems like they listened to him. But I think the more important thing that sort of came out of this is that, like, Drew and Barrett apparently did not have a megaphone that they were wandering around the house with, so they could be like, Rick Devins, you need to go to this room, that they didn't like clue him in enough time about this.
Oh my goodness, the paranoia that is just like bubbling up with Dee, it's so wild. And I mean, like, I get it because you're playing Survivor. It's a much shorter game. I mean, these days it's like, what, 26 days?
Yes.
It's pretty fast, right? Here, there is no like, okay, we have a challenge. We have a little bit of time to discuss things. And then that night, whoever you've been like messing around with,
Yeah.
they're going home probably. Here, it's a whole week that if it's like, okay, I have a problem with this person, it's a whole week until maybe they go home.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're left too much to think to yourselves about various scenarios. You see one person talking to the wrong person at the wrong time. Suddenly that becomes like a really, really bad thing.
Yeah, Dee, whatever her issue is with Drew, I don't know, like, if it's just pure paranoia or there is something that happened off feeds of why she doesn't trust him as much as she does. Like, I get that he's out there talking to other people and Barrett's out there talking to other people. They told them to. They're doing exactly what the group said they were going to do. And Drew's specifically, who has been gathering information, has
Yes.
continued to funnel it back to Devins and Dee and Angela and Barrett over and over and over again. Like, I don't know what else he could have done. Maybe she just doesn't vibe with his personality and is like, you know what? I'm going to turn this into a thing.
Yeah, I think it's like a combination of things. I think there's probably a little bit of that. I think it's a good comparison with Survivor. It's like the speed of the game, the pace here is very different. Yeah, it's something that Dee is not fundamentally used to, and her personality may be such that it's harder. And I think also Angela, yes, she is a returning player, but she's not your typical Big Brother returning player. I mean, we can all go back into a time machine here, back to Angela's first season on the show. She's not good. Like, she made it as far as she did because she caused a lot of drama. Tucker bailed her out at times. She wasn't seen as a threat for a particular amount of time. It wasn't until close to her actually being taken out that some people convinced themselves that Angela had a little bit of a story. So it's just like she gets really, really paranoid and she spirals. And having her with Dee, someone who is also spiraling, they're just like gassing each other up in the worst way possible.
Absolutely. And it has turned into a situation, as we said in the update yesterday, that now, like, Drew is like, okay, I might need to back out of this a little bit. Barrett is like, yeah, me too. Let's be the jugglers. Best name. So good name.
Yes.
But Dee is really like losing the group of people that she's had around her. She was in such a sweet spot that first week.
Yeah.
But she is like turning people away that were so loyal to her for no reason. And she's not bringing in new people to replace them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, she's just causing these little rifts for no reason that could come back to haunt her like so much sooner than I ever really thought. And this new bit of information of paranoia that like Angela and Dee are suddenly worried that like Drew and Barrett are actually gonna try to save Rome. Like,
my goodness, this is some amazing paranoia that's going on in this house. This is not happening.
These are numbers that aren't even numbers. Like, this is absolutely nothing. There's not even been conversations about, and this is all seemingly just stemming from the fact that they didn't clue Devins in about the Bro Council early, and it's like that plus like all their recent distrust. Like, Dee, she is observant. This is one of her better skills. Like, she has sort of clocked that, oh, yeah, Drew and Barrett, they're having a lot more conversations now. I wonder what's going on here.
Shocking. Who's created this situation?
I know.
It's not them. They were riding for you.
Dee and the thing with Dee and Angela right now, like, they have sort of dug this hole, created a problem for themselves.
Yes.
Then they went and bought some fertilizer at the store. They put it in the hole, and then they're like, okay, you fixed the problem that you yourself created. And I don't actually even think you fixed it. I think you bought some faulty dirt, and it's not going to work on your plants. Everything's just going to fall apart now.
Absolutely. The only real sort of save I could see possibly happening is if Dee finds a way to just bring Barrett back in. And I think Barrett would come in a second anyways, and she would be able to just bring him back in away from Drew if she really wanted to isolate Drew and try to get him out.
The only case for Rome actually staying in the game, and we'll see what conversations happen next 24 hours, anything is possible, is just that, like, he, and in particular, he and Lyric together are such obvious targets because they are a showmance and because Rome has these people that he can always be a target. But I think the risk is just, it's too high because Rome is too convincing of a specific group of people that if you get rid of Rome, the odds are that a lot of them are going to scatter. They're going to look for new homes. And I think Rome, for as bad of a player as he is, being a uniting force is enough that the whole I'm a target you can hide behind argument doesn't really work enough.
No. And I mean, it's always possible that somebody else will step into that role and bring the rest of the house together on that side in a way more dangerous way, because Rome he really tried. He did start to bring people together, but Devins unraveled that so entirely in that speech that there was no way, if Rome stays bringing that group back together again, it needs a new leader.
It does. And, because things are falling apart with this big alliance, and we'll get more and more into that. Like, it does think that there is like a teensy chance that somebody even from within that alliance could end up taking that spot. Now, we will talk about Jason for a moment because there is that possibility that Rome ends up winning the BB Blockbuster. If it is a pickleball competition, Allison Grodner, we know exactly what you are up to. So if Rome wins, Jason versus Melody, Jason almost certainly will go.
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor and Lala, they have talked about wanting to keep Jason in this scenario. They are closer to it. You know, Angela and Dee, who have formed like an alliance, we shall say, with the two of them. They've heard them out, but they're also like, you know what? We'll just indulge this for now. If this situation, we'll just tell them last minute that this is what's going to go down.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a scenario where Jason stays at this point over Melody. It would take somebody within that big alliance turning on them, and that's a really big risky thing to do.
For sure.
Okay, so let's now look at everything from a Devon's point of view, because like we've already established that Angela and Dee, they are spiraling a little bit. They're trying to figure out what to do about this Drew and Barrett problem that's actually not a problem at all.
Yeah, which is leaving Devon's in a really tough spot watching them spiral out. He has tried to like calm it down over the past week or so, but he's just not having much luck.
Yeah, like Devon's is sort of like the dad who's at the party seeing everybody not get along. It's just like, well, can we all just sit down? I'll bring out my ukulele. We'll sing Kumbaya. We'll make s'mores. He's just trying to get everybody to get back on the same page because I think he has a good relationship with Drew. He's got a decent one with Barrett, but he also does with the returnees.
It was a winning group.
Yes.
This group could have easily just blown their way all the way to the end here. It's so, I'm sure for Devon sitting back and watching it all crumble, watching, you know, Angela and Dee having all this paranoia, pushing out two of the members of this. They're not a 5 anymore. Now it's like 2 and 2, and Devon's being like, what is happening?
I think what Devon's probably wants to just pound his head against the wall over is this notion that they also had a 3 out of 5 majority here, that if they all got to the final 5 together, they did have the numbers. Like from everything we've seen, like Devon's number 1 is Dee, and it's like, you know, I think they could have all stuck together. That might have changed later on down the road when they're like, I want to win, I can't win against this person, but you kind of have to trust what is right in front of you. So for Devon's, like, it is in his best interest to try to find a way to get this group back together, like if it is all possible.
And I don't think that it is. I think that Angela and Dee, this is Big Brother, and all you can do in this house is, you know, think yourself to death. And I think that that is what they have done. And they have just convinced themselves that no matter what, Drew is a problem and he needs to get out. There is no bringing Drew back. And at this point, I think Drew realizes that even if he was to come back and to really continue to try to work with them, everything he does is wrong. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he brings them information. It doesn't matter if he doesn't bring them information. He brings in a camera to be like, let's take a fun picture together. That's a problem. He just can't do anything right.
Yeah.
And who wants to be part of a group that's always like, you're always wrong? At some point, I feel like that's a really long summer for Drew, that he's just going to be like, I just don't want to play with you guys anymore.
Yeah, like the only explanation that I could even 5% buy with Dee and Angela is the idea that they know that because Drew and Barrett are playing every side, they're not going to fight for HOH, and then they're not going to try to protect them. But my response to that would then be, how about you just make Drew and Barrett feel so good about this group that you're in that they do want to fight for H, so they don't feel like they have to play every side. Like there are ways socially to sort of work around all of that.
I feel like Drew would have absolutely ended up pushing to get an HOH. Barrett, I've always been, I don't know, because it really did feel like for a while he was just there. I'm a super fan. I've got this flirtmance going on with my Survivor crush. They're protecting me. I'm in a big alliance. Why should I do anything? But Drew has been out there gathering information and trying to bring it back and trying to actually participate. And, you know, this is where it is. It's bitten him in the butt.
Okay, so here's 2 attempts that Devon's has tried to do to smooth things over a little bit. Like he's tried to have a conversation with Drew, hypothetically, about what he wants to do in the event that he has to pick a side. And like he's relayed information back to Dee, and it's like, Dee's not happy with it. You know, Drew's, I don't know, thinking too much about it. This is a situation that was lose-lose for Drew. I feel like no matter what he says, they will find a way to pull a little bit of that apart.
Yeah.
And then Devon's basically goes to Barrett and Drew, and it's just like, okay, guys, just so you know, there are some people out here, some people think that you're playing the middle a little bit too much, and I don't think Drew and Barrett are oblivious. I think they can kind of figure out who Devon's is probably talking or thinking about, like, on some level.
Yeah, I mean, Devon's is basically out here being like, I know we all said we were going to do this, but, like, stop doing it. That, you know, it was supposed to work, but it's not working anymore, so you guys just have to stop doing it.
Okay, now this is where we're getting messy, guys. Like really, really messy. We all need to put on some gloves and enter the next part of this video because we've got the Angela, Dee, and Angela, Dee, and Devin's part of this, and then we've got Drew and Barrett, but then we've also got Camu, Haley, and Chuck, who are all a part of this greater tool shed.
Yep.
These numbers are sort of starting to fall apart or at least get weird in some very unexpected ways because I feel like Drew, despite having like, I don't know if we want to call this a final two. We might as well. They've got a name of the handyman that is him and Camu.
Drew, I've been riding for you and I still am. But like, you can't play this Tyler game where you are friendly with everybody in the house and you have a million final twos. I've been out here defending you because you had one final two with Barrett. And now today, it's seemingly you have another final two. You cannot have this many final twos.
You're running a big risk, especially with the way he talks about certain people. Like he's talked about this a hypothetical idea that someone in the tool shed, not necessarily him, but someone in the tool shed put up Camu as a pawn. And is it just a situation where he has to go eventually? Is it to try to mask the alliance from some other people within the house? Like it could be a lot of these other things. Like I think Drew, somewhere in his mind, is probably a little bit worried about Camu. He wants to be protected with Camu, hence that final two. But I think Camu's pretty social. Camu's got a lot of relationships out there in the house. I think he also probably realizes, Camu is pretty close to Dee, is pretty close to Angela. It doesn't feel bad to take away at least some of those numbers, right?
Right.
Now, once again, here's where things get somehow even messier because today we have Angela and Dee who are talking to Haley, and they talked a little bit to Chuck as well, but they spent a lot of time with Haley because it's felt more and more like maybe they're trying to replace Drew and Barrett with Haley, someone who they think they could probably manipulate a little bit more, and honestly, they're probably right with that.
Yeah, they might be able to manipulate her a little bit more, but Drew was riding for them, and I don't think that Haley is going to ever really be riding for them in the way that Drew did.
Here is where Dee might have made a critical mistake, and we have to play the wait and see game with some of this because she told Haley that she thinks that Drew and Barrett may go after Camu and Chuck. And I mean, given that Drew did say this about Camu and them being a possible nominee, like she's not 100% wrong, but this is really the first major time, like somebody within this like core 5 crossovers group that they have actually thrown another member directly under the bus to somebody who is not actually in that alliance.
Yep, Dee is done with Drew. Absolutely.
Yeah, it really does. It feels that way. Like it really feels like we are sort of shaping up for this situation where this alliance is going to crumble sooner, and it's about who is going to have that know-how to sort of make the first move. I mean, it's sort of a way to go way back in time, all the way to Big Brother 12, to the days of the Brigade. Like, Matt Hoffman was one of the best players that whole season, but he was pretty much clearly identified as that. And because he didn't make the move at the time he needed to, he might have thought it was too early and it ended up biting him in the butt.
My worry is that because it is still early in the game, and I think that if Drew ends up winning this next HOH, either by accident or on purpose, that he is just going to try to continue to show loyalty, see if there's a way to fix it. He is enjoying working with Devins to try to keep that core 5 together, and then we'll roll into the next week and Dee will just take him out, that it won't even matter.
Well, here is where I think things could get messy really, really fast, even more so than where they are right now, which is just that Haley did have a chat with Camu after speaking with Dee, and she did relay a lot of the information that was discussed there, in particular when it comes to Drew, when it comes to conversations about whether or not people could, like, there is a chance here Camu can go and have a conversation with Drew and then give some information about some of the things that Dee may be saying. And like, if this game of telephone goes back to Drew, because this is like Drew's one blind spot in all of this right now, is I think he knows that Angela and Dee don't trust him fully, but he doesn't know the extent of like all the
Right.
conversations. Like, this is the thing that would cause him to, if he does win that HOH, to actually make that move now as opposed to later on down the road.
He should make that move, but I don't know if he'll have the confidence to make that move if he thinks that there might be a way to still save it. And if he's got someone like Devon's in his ear, maybe he might be like, you know what? Okay, this will be my way to prove my loyalty. But I think he has made a really good move right now, working with Kamu and trying to have this, like, we'll call it a final two, but to have a really close relationship with him because they are both on opposite sides of the same alliance sort of thing, to be able to share that kind of information. I think most people would not suspect that they would be working together. And if Drew really is out here trying to throw out Kamu's name as a way to be like, listen, people are not going to expect us to be working together. I'm going to make sure that it looks like that, but just know that we are together. If Kamu's really believing that, then, you know, this could work out really well for Drew, where somebody's feeding him information.
The thing that, whether it is Drew or Kamu or even somebody on the outside of the big alliance, like, and you alluded to this a little bit earlier when we were talking just about Rome, like, he may be a uniting force in some way, but the big problem with all of the newbies this season is they have yet to kind of come together in a real way where share a lot of information and finalize something. Like, here's a funny aside here. Jess and I also at the channel, we cover From on MGM Plus, like a really amazing show.
Yo, it's so good. If you love horror, it is right there for you.
And we have pounded our heads against the wall for years with this show because we're just always like, why can't the town just all talk to each other? Like, they could, like, they could make all of these problems go away if they just shared all their theories. And it's just sort of a situation where if Kamu or Drew and Mel or whatever, whoever these people are, all start to kind of realize that they've been pitted against each other in a lot of really, really interesting ways. Like, they could do something about that and they would actually understand there's a sense of urgency, even though they should recognize that because Ashley literally told them before she was evicted from the game.
Yeah, she told them. And if they could just actually see that Dee and Angela are spiraling together, then this can be a way to just target them to get them out of the house and let the rest of the house play.
All right, well, before we wrap this video up, I think there's just one other big question we should try to answer. And this is just, why are there so many people in the house out to get Lala? And like, we've talked a little bit about this with Haley, who has talked about targeting Lala. It seems like some of her allies may talk her out of that plan. But like, it's a combination of a few different things that have become clearer over the past 24 to 48 hours. Like, a lot of it, ironically, is not even that much game related. It's more so that Lala does order people around a little bit. She does tend to be a little bit controlling, but then there's this other narrative that, you know, we don't really like talking about have-nots that much. Like, we've barely talked about them all season long for a pretty good reason.
Yeah, it just feels like being a have-not doesn't actually affect the game in any real way. It's, for whatever reason, like, sleeping in these horrible beds and eating slop doesn't actually, like, affect you in challenges or affect you in the game.
Lala refuses to be a have-not. Like, she has been out here saying, don't make me a have-not. I will not do it. And I think for certain people, like, in particular, Barrett, because Barrett is like a big super fan. And if we all think back to like Ian, one of the joys of watching Ian was like, I want all the punishments. I want to be a have-not. Like, you want to go through the enormous Big Brother experience. Like, if we all remember, like, Corey was basically a have-not for like 2 years on his season. It's just like, this is a part of playing Big Brother. And if somebody's out here being like, I don't want to actively participate in all aspects of that, I think it just makes them a frustration. So like, moving into the next HOH, it might be surprising to some that Lala ends up being a target. But if you're this dominant alliance, and let's just say hypothetically, like, they actually do stick together another week, like, she may just be an easy out for people because there's just parts of what she does that are driving them a little bit up the wall.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if that's the way that it goes.
The last mystery here, we have the HOH tomorrow. Like, you know, house guests haven't been able to spend much time in the backyard. So it feels like there's going to be something pretty big, pretty dramatic. It feels really early, though, for there to be an endurance. Like, that's like a week 5, week 6 sort of thing most of the time, right?
Yeah, it is. But they may want to try to have some sort of opportunity that somebody else might end up winning. But I mean, Dee, this is... It's going to be tough that she's back in the mix because I could very easily see this just going back to her as another HOH.
Mm.
And I think we should all have our hard hats on for that. That Dee will probably end up in that spot again.
Okay, so if you are team drama here, there's two scenarios to throw out. Number one, as we said earlier, Rome finds a way to stick around,
Let's go.
win this HOH. Rome can, I don't care if Rome is evicted a week after. I'm just going to make that very, very clear. Like, Rome does not need to be in this game long term, but just a little more drama, please.
He is such messy feeds, and I'm definitely thankful for that.
The only other person I think would be really interesting is Mallory, because Mallory has specifically talked about wanting to go after all the returnees. Like, she's got it out for Dee. And as we know from like her packages and or her Instagram, sneaky athletic, not as much like the I'm just a nerd persona as she's kind of been made out to be.
The problem is just the vets have so many votes on their side at this point that it's like, unless like a Drew and Barrett actually are going to flip, they're just going to continue to stay. And that is the tough part about this, because now they have the numbers to get some of these vets out, but I just don't know if it's really going to happen, even if they're all on the block.
And here is the part of this where we also just have to hang our heads, where Mallory could get HOH, and then Devins ends up getting, you know, into the time capsule and gets some sort of power.
Exactly.
Just because that's how people vote. But, you know, that is where we are with this edition of Big Brother 28 live feed spoilers. Thanks, as always, for hanging out with us. Like, we love all the feedback so far this season. It's been great. And hit that subscribe button so you do not miss any more updates. We will see you here next time.